get then?
Okay. Well, I talked a bit about just the background portion of the plan that I wrote for Glover, and I was going over the different areas that I had talked about. Uplands and wetlands are very significant and important for the impacts of a flood or high water event. The uplands, forested uplands and greater than 20% slopes are very good at maintaining their soil and not eroding as much as greater than 20% slopes that have been deforested or have impervious surfaces on them. For wetlands, they act like a sponge for floodwaters. So if you promote your wetlands, then your floodwaters have a place to go before they go into your residential areas. So I talked a bit about that. Then went into transportation infrastructure, talked about bridges, roads, and culverts, and just the condition of those and how many there were and where they were, and roads that were especially susceptible to erosion. Then I went on to describe local planning and funding resources. I talked about the Memphremagog Watershed Stream Geomorphic Assessment, which was a little bit useful for Glover, but it would be much more useful for Barton because the entire Barton River within Barton was had a stream geomorphic assessment done on it, which basically gives you the whole character of the river. It gives you the meander, the floodplain, all these kinds of things. So that would be a good resource for Barton.
So what do you mean good resource? We could apply for funding to do what?
Actually, it just gives you a better character of your stream and of the
potential.
Yeah, the potential places for floodwaters to go, and places where there would be bottlenecks and places where there would be wide open floodplains.
And did you do that geometric assessment, or?
I didn't, but Northwoods did actually. So I have all the data. It was done by a woman named Melissa Dyer.
How old is that?
I think it was done in 2009.
So it's flooded since then.
Yeah, and we had Irene, so there'll be some differences, but it would still be useful information. Then I go into the Emergency Relief Assistance Fund, the ERAF, and talked about funding matches from FEMA and basically the requirements to get a greater funding match from the state, because in the event of an emergency, FEMA will provide 75% of the funding for fixing
A declared disaster.
Yeah, for a declared disaster.
Yeah.
And then the last 25% is shared between the state and the municipality. So with no flood preparation at all, the state will throw in 7.5%, and the town is left with 17.5% of the cost of repairs. So if you start preparing for floods and having this flood resilience element and a bunch of other things, then you are eligible for greater and greater match from the state, which means less and less money from the municipality.
I think we're going through that now with the hazard mitigation plan that you're working on.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep. So one of the things that you can do to increase your match is adopting the road and bridge standards from the state, which I actually have a copy of, but I'm sure if you're working on the...
We are.
Are they adopted?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. Then there's the National Flood Insurance Program, which is designed to mitigate flood losses through effective local ordinances. So it's they have flood insurance rate maps, which show, actually I have some copies of these, but I'm sure you also have these
They're on the wall behind
as
you.
well. Yeah, definitely yours are bigger than mine. Embarrassing. So basically they show areas of flood risk and within the town and village. And one thing you can do to increase your state match is to have flood hazard area regulations. Does Barton
It's
have-
part of our zoning
It's part
bylaw.
of your
Yeah, and we
zoning
just have probably the FEMA minimum standards.
Okay. There's also a I don't remember when they came out with it, but they have a model of flood hazard area regulations that you can pretty much just plug the name of your town into and some other basic information, and it's pretty nice. So there's that. And then the local emergency operations plan, I thought I was reading in here that there wasn't one for
There is.
Barton. There is?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Alright.
For each Barton town, Barton village, and Orleans.
Orleans Village, yeah.
For all of them?
It's an annual requirement now.
Oh,
for all-
okay.
For all towns, yeah.
Oh wow, that's great. So then there's the local hazard mitigation plan, which is in the
We're working
works,
on
it sounds like. Okay. And that was the same in Barton. So then I went into areas of special consideration for high flood risk and high fluvial erosion risk. And talked a little bit about state lands, and then went into recommendations. So that's pretty much the whole plan from start to finish.
Has this been adopted by the town Glover?
I think they're working on it.
Okay.
They haven't adopted their updated town plan just yet, I don't think.
So this is gonna be part of their town plan, and is this also
Mhm.
part of their hazardous mitigation plan, or?
I think that they use elements of this in their hazard mitigation plan, but Jack had already started their hazard mitigation plan and was well on his way to being done. Actually, I think he had sent it into the state and was waiting to get it back, because that's the,
It takes a long time.
yeah, it takes a long time, and it comes back usually with a lot of red ink on it. That's what I've heard.
Our task.
Yeah. So that's basically the flood resilience plan. It's pretty much what you have, but in more depth, and yeah.
Looking at ours, was there anything that stood out that we're probably missing or should be talking about?
I did notice that there wasn't a flood history section.
Okay.
And
That's something they wanted in the hazard mitigation plan.
What are you looking at? When you said
This
there was
one?
no flood history, which document is that?
It's our draft town plan.
Oh, the town plan, okay.
yeah, this is the town plan.
Yeah,
I think those are comments. Did you see the comments back from,
I just started looking at them this week, yeah.
yeah, I think that was in there for the hazard mitigation plan too.
Yeah.
the one that includes-
So I think I just probably
Talk about the flood history and,
touched on the same things as there are in here, but in greater depth. And mentioned specifically, like, went into watersheds, like, what is the watershed? And here it does say this is in Barton River watershed, which is the largest, or within the larger Memphremagog watershed basin. So it's pretty much that times this.
Fluvial erosion maps aren't available in Glover yet, are they?
Not that I know of. I have the greater than 20% slope maps.
Yep.
And the roads at risk of erosion map.
do they have the river corridor data from A&R yet? They're-
No, actually, and I talked to Stacy Pomeroy at the A&R, who said she's more than willing to come out and talk to them and you guys if you want to go into getting more detailed river corridor maps, because they have them on the A&R Natural Resources Atlas, which is a great resource, by the way, if you haven't been there. But she's more than willing to come out and talk and give you the details on what you can do to make that happen.
the three dams, is that Parker, Shadow, and Daniels, or that's the three dams?
It's Parker Shadow. Shadow Lake was the biggest one, and then Parker Lake had a smaller one, and then yeah, Daniels Pond Dam.
And does Daniels flow into Shadow or vice versa?
It flows from south to north. Let me see.
Oh.
It looks like Daniels flows into Shadow.
What do you think so?
Yeah, that's what it showed. on the
Yeah.
map.
Yeah.
Um,
So all of their lakes then come right toward us,
mhm,
because
Yep.
Parker certainly does, because that's the Roy Brook.
mhm.
And then Shadow drains into what do they call the river in Glover? You know,
Barton.
there's, how far up is it called the Barton River?
I think all the way down to the headwaters.
Oh, really?
Isn't it? Yeah. Well, there's Tildy's Pond, and I'm not sure about below Tildy's Pond or above Tildy's Pond, watershed speaking, but below Tildy's Pond, I think it's called Barton
Barton
River.
River.
Mhm.
And the greater than 25% that you've got is along roadways or throughout the town?
It's throughout the town.
Is that right?
It was taken from a raster that has slope at each point.
We have a piece of property where the slope's greater than 25%, and during the 2011 and 12 storms, the ravine and channel just washed immensely, and it's forest land, and so I'm trying to think of strategies to help stabilize the channel, because every small
Mhm.
storm since continues to erode into the soils.
Right.
Do you guys do anything that helps try to mitigate forest land that's had these, higher intensity storms, erosion in these wooded areas?
We've done slope. I'm forgetting what it's called, but you put basically down hardware cloth or the jute cloth, and then you plant plants inside of
Yeah.
each of the squares. We've done that. I can't remember what it's called. And we've done unbuffered stream plantings, but it sounds like that has a pretty good buffer.
Yeah, I actually almost thought about opening up the land and allowing the sunlight to come back in, to have shorter vegetation
Mm-hmm.
to try to grow,
Mm-hmm.
but
Where's this at?
just as you come into the village, it washes down at the bottom of Roaring Brook Road.
Oh, is that why it always has a giant pool of
Yeah,
water?
if you walk up into the woods, you'll see a natural ravine that it's awful up there.
Is that your property?
Yeah.
That's from Ingersoll Lane going down that way, or
It's directly across.
Perrin's Land must
It's
be.
directly across at the bottom of Roaring Brook Road, directly across like Route 16. Goes straight up. It always plugs the state culvert and floods, and they're always there cleaning it out. But if you walk up in there, the rilling that's occurred is just, I'm not really sure how to stop it
Mm-hmm.
without bringing equipment up there to try to work on it. But it's the 2012 and 11 and 12 storms just destroyed any vegetation that was present.
And is it all from fallen water? Is it get headwaters from somewhere else? It's all
Just-
from right there?
Just natural. Yeah.
Meg, I know you probably don't have the assessment data with you for the Barton River, or just the Barton portions, but is there any recommendations you would make from what you've seen of that data?
I
As
haven't
far as the
really looked
project?
into the Barton area. I
Okay.
looked more into the Glover area. I haven't done a whole lot of work looking
Okay.
into Barton because I was paid for 2.5 hours
Right, okay.
before this
Yeah,
and this meeting. So if I did work on a flood resiliency plan, I would definitely go into that data, and I can probably send you a link to it if you're interested in looking at it.
okay. I know that when you have all the assessment data for a particular watershed or a stream or whatever, you could then apply for implementation money afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So we could even think about that and then have Northwoods do the work. What do you think?
Yeah.
If there are problem areas in the town that could be helped out by some sort of restoration,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
okay.
yeah.
One area that would be, and with Barton and Glover, you know, I don't know, what would you say the drop between Glover and Barton is?
The drop?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can,
There are significant points on the river where it does drop,
yeah,
just having kayaked it. Having flopped, yes.
even from the border, it's 889 and it drops 30 feet just before the village of Barton. And then between Barton and Orleans,
There's quite a lot drop there.
yeah,
Yeah.
that drops quite a bit.
Especially by the Pinecrest.
Yeah. But, so there's no flooding that would ever happen, no stoppage that would ever affect Glover from Barton. I mean, the area's just too wide there. The area that I think that we've got that we would like probably some input from is that area from Brownington to Orleans along the Willoughby River,
Yeah.
where, I mean, it's just sheer drops for,
Mhm.
and it's not 100 feet, but not far from it, right near the new bridge there. It's really, I don't know what kind of recommendations you have for that, but
Expensive.
yeah, none of it is gonna be good. But that would be,
Some of that's protected waterways anyway, and you couldn't do much with anyway,
well,
above the falls.
it's also protected, that's right, that's really sacred water, that's the trout spawning
Mhm.
area, but it is literally falling in,
Mhm.
you know, widening out. I don't know in
Right.
time if that would ruin that. If they could, if there's enough dirt that could possibly ruin that or not.
Is there enough soil to plant a buffer? Because
No,
no.
no,
It's
it's
mostly
too steep.
rock.
Oh,
It's the
okay.
drop is right on the river, you know.
Mhm. Right.
And that's what's happening, it's hewing in there and hewing in there, and, it's changing its course a lot.
Mhm.
Some in good places and some not, on more unfortunate places. One of the section is a curve that's, you know, there's a road called the Center Road between Barton and Brownington.
Mhm.
And I don't know how many years before that road is gonna be gone, but, you know, we've lost in the last 10 years at least 25, to 35 feet, you know, of space between the river and the road.
Right.
It's moving in.
I'm not saying that I'm rooting for the river, but I'm just, there is definitely a natural entropy of rivers that they'll try to meander, and if they have space to go like this, that they want to do that because that slows the water down. It also helps downriver to prevent flooding, but so many of our rivers have been straightened because of human encroachment on them and development and stuff. So they're gonna want to do this kind of thing, and sometimes there's not a whole lot that can be done about that.
Eventually, it might take the road out.
Mhm. Yeah. I'm not sure what would be a good option for that without having seen it.
I know it's not good, you probably have to armor the bank right before it gets to the road. That's not a recommended practice, I know.
Well, no, it's not.
Yeah,
That tends to.
it still happens everywhere though.
Yeah, it does. It happens a lot. And if you don't do it, your upstream neighbors probably will, and then the problem's going to be on your hands.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a armed banks race.
And that's what the state has done along Route 16 and along Route 15. They've really, I mean, they had to. They were going to lose the road. I mean, almost did lose Route 15.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there wasn't much thought given to meandering there. I'll tell you.
Right. Yeah.
But this year, I think with not too much effort, I think it could be, we could do something. Armoring would be one way, and I don't know if there's anything else that, you know, just mitigate that section for maybe something else.
Mm-hmm. And then downstream have a floodplain
Yes,
developed or wetlands developed.
exactly.
Mm-hmm. definitely.
So I think the grant period is essentially ended, right, today? It was the last day?
I think so, or the 18th was the last.
18th, okay.
So,
So your report's final for the purposes of the grant, because the town was the applicant, so.
mhm,
Okay.
yep, so this report is what it's gonna be. I definitely worked a lot with the town and, we made a lot of revisions and, this was my first flood resilience plan, so, there was a lot of leeway in learning, and so we ended up giving them, quite a bit of my education time as their grant, or as, the plan.
Mhm.
Which may or may not be good for them. I think that we both ended up coming out pretty well.
It looks good, I read through it.
Thank you. I did bring some of the maps that Ed said he wanted. They're not the best quality, but those are some of the examples of the maps that we have. And I also made a little town of Barton map.
Nice. On your soil types, you have non-erodible and then underrated. What's in underrated?
Those are, gosh, what are they? NRCS soil types? It's a GIS layer and, that's their rating. I'm not exactly sure, what unrated means. I guess it could probably cover all kinds of soil types.
They got 30% high erodible land.
A lot of, Glover soils, I was surprised at how many of their soils are sandy.
There's a difference, Bob, too, between
Is that because of
soil
the prior, like,
that's along the
movement?
river,
I think it was a,
The river.
Runaway pond?
Yeah.
Glacier
digs,
Wall.
digs it out and tears it away,
Something like that.
and the soil itself actually being highly erodible.
Oh, it may not have access.
So
to-
like sand is not a highly erodible soil, but along a river with a lot of velocity, along
It
steep
is.
slopes, it's highly, it's,
Also, sand would be rated as not highly erodible?
I don't believe so.
Oh, really?
no, it seems like it would be.
Isn't the,
Where is this?
trying to think,
I don't know.
K factor, right? You looked at the K factors?
I did, this was from their fact sheets.
What do you wanna know?
And,
These two ponds.
What's pond?
and the GIS layer.
What's that road right there?
Maybe they call it, could it be potentially
this
highly
one?
eroded?
I'm trying to look, can't remember.
Some private land under that.
It's, who's the guy that does the financial listing?
Jarvis?
Yes,
Um,
it's minor.
So here's an example. A Colton soil is it's sandy glaciofluvial deposits. They're very deep to bedrock, excessively draining. The K factor for the soil is what's called 0.24. Usually they're not considered highly erodible until 0.36, which doesn't mean anything to anyone here.
It's strange though, because if they are fluvial deposits, you would think they were very erodible.
That are carried before.
Yeah. You'll get. I think of some other ones.
Oh, the Enon movements.
So any grants for the future will be, since the grant period is already started,
Yeah.
we could always look into, incorporating some new stuff, being a little bit more specific in ours.
Yeah, we do it that, right, too. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, really.
We wanna do it with different.
So there's no truth to Willoughby Lake being connected to Crystal Lake Underground, is there? I've heard that rumor before. Have you heard that before?
I heard that.
Megan, can you
No
explain
way.
this map here?
Yeah,
I mean,
this is,
chart,
um, This is
I would
the,
say maybe these
um,
in some way.
stream
but
gauge
not
for the
this
Barton River, and this is up by, I think this is actually up by
Three
Coventry.
people say it can tell both.
So this is just the stream height, different days of the year. So it's lowest in mid-September or early October. And these blue bars mean that's when it's frozen.
Over 300 feet.
Why did they take it near Coventry?
Yeah.
That's just where their sensor
Probably
is.
some grody things
I'm
down
not
there,
sure.
right?
That's way the other side of Orleans, it's near
I
Coventry
like
Station,
this
I
one,
presume.
but I don't.
Yeah.
But did they do that because that's the road
Fisher,
that floods every
Locker.
spring?
Bleh.
I don't know, but what does that have to do
35
with Glover's? I mean, how does that affect Glover's when you're 100 feet lower there than?
Well, that's something with Glover.
What's
That's
It's
the-
true, but the water's still coming on the river.
Occasion.
This is just a Barton River,
But you've got the Willoughby at that point feeding into it.
that's true.
That's- That's happened more than once since I've been
Then I don't
here.
know.
Yeah, I think they're just bottom feeders.
There was the current stream.
But it seems like there's not much fight in
Can be
it.
found in
It's
those,
just-
Well, they're lazy to do that.
The
I mean, it
gate
takes a
is
lot of
in
energy to
Coventry,
swim
and then
35
it's
times
north.
around when you're not usually that
So
large.
it's just more than. I've been know.
It is a
The
very
only
good
flooding we
idea,
had in
though,
this
so
area
it's
was
under
spring was there.
Well, no, I thought they were gonna say that relatively speaking, that's high, because Glover's flow would have been high. And the only inconsistency is that the Willoughby is a powerful, is bigger than Barton.
No.
I wonder if the Willoughby has its own stream gauge. I didn't check.
Well,
Milford.
by the time you get
Well,
to
a lot of
Coventry
things
Station, the
about
two
the
rivers
years
have
that we
converged.
Isn't the Confluence in Orleans?
Is what?
The Confluence is in Orleans, isn't it?
Yeah,
On the river road, yeah.
yeah, right near the treatment plant, that's right.
I wonder if the more important part is just looking how the discharge actually changes over time, because maybe it's actually not the amount of discharge, but the pattern of change.
Time of year, you mean?
Because like, well, I mean, it's highlighting like that there was a huge amount in like May 2014, and so it just maybe sort of you can infer
These
stuff
are the
happening.
high times, these are the
Exactly.
low times. Did I answer all the questions? Are there more questions? Am I skipping something that I should be?
No, I think,
No,
I'm okay.
I think you did a nice job.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. Glover must have been pleased. It looks like you made a nice report for him.
Thank you. I've definitely learned some things since starting Glover, and I feel like maybe one of the reasons that their invoice came out to be more than the estimate was that I spent a lot of time on mapping, and that's something maybe I wouldn't spend so much time on in the future. Probably one, because I have all the shape files now and I don't need to re-download them, and I don't need to figure out exactly what they are or how to symbolize them, but also because I have the templates, and because some of it's unnecessary.
Did you use the state's data layers for the, okay.
Yep, I got most of my data from VCGI, the
Yep.
Vermont Center for Geographic
Is it-
Information.
Does Glover have parcel maps? Or they're, I think they're,
I didn't get a parcel map,
okay.
the tax maps or anything like that, no. The state has a layer called emergency E-site, E911 site points, which just shows you where each
The houses
residence
are
is.
right.
And did you send this, did you send this to us, or did Ed send this to us?
Ed sent
Ed-
it.
I think
Ed sent it to us?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm satisfied.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Megan.
Thanks so much.
It was good meeting you.
Good to meet you too. Do you want these FEMA maps or?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can have them. And I'll leave the Glover maps and the Barton map, and
What about these?
you can have those. You can also keep this copy of the frozen plan if you want another one.
Okay.
Thanks, Megan.
Do you have a card or something, if we wanted to contact you, it would be the easiest way of getting hold of you?
Let me, where's my, there it
I think all our contact info is in that email.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
I don't have any cards with me, but, Ed has all my contact info, and I think
We work with you guys
you were,
on other stuff, for
Yeah.
NVDA, Wisdom for water quality assessment work, and then, we're starting to sign you guys up for this hazard mitigation priming.
yeah, I just got the email today for, call for bids, so.
Yep.
we're working on that.
Okay.
So if you need my contact info, Ed has it also.
We have to, I'll just
You
share
have
it
it?
with the
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry I started without you.
Oh, that's okay.
Later.
Bye.
Take it.